Between the two of them, the inside of Coates, Parker gets too heavily involved. And that's Whitehead and Coates.
Hello everybody and welcome to VRRC for this, the second round of the MX-5 Cup Academy Series powered by VRRC. I am Edward May and joining me in the comms box this evening is Dave Marshall with Scott Thorne, our broadcasting director for this evening. And Dave, welcome back to the comms box. We come following a excellent championship opener at Brands, and then we move to the home of British motorsport, Silverstone, for the national circuit, and it's one track that every driver loves to go to.
Yeah, I think, following the race that we had at the previous round at Brands, if that's anything to go by, going into Silverstone, it's only going to be a more intense race. I'm really excited to see how much the slipstream's really going to play a part down the Wellington Straight. I think that's going to be one of the key places, and seeing how many people get caught out with trying to move into Beckett's but then getting bitten back before Brooklands as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You've mentioned some very key corners of the circuit. Two really important ones are, of course, the run through the first corner at Copse. Got to get set up nicely for hairpin, the long right-hander of Beckett's, and then the Wellington Straight. You don't want to get a bad exit out of Beckett's, because otherwise you could be very vulnerable for a move into Brooklands and Luffield, and that could be the real action zone, isn't it, for all of the racing this evening, is that little complex towards the end of the lap, because we've seen time and time again drivers really going for it late on the brakes. But, well, this championship is certainly scratching up to be quite a good one, isn't it? We've had plenty of entertainment to try and digest after last week's racing. And, well, Simon Reed, he's currently sitting on the top of the standings, isn't he? 45 points clear of Mick Sutton, who's second. And then Andy Dorman, not too far back, just 2 points back actually from Mick Sutton on 35 points. So the top 10, or top 3 rather, all separated by 10 points. Could be a very exciting championship. And then let's not forget as well the fact that other drivers did have a bit of an unfortunate evening. Luke Weston was one of them, even though he won the first race. Second race did not go his way, and he was driving all the way through that with no force feedback whatsoever, and he was driver of the round last time out.
Yeah, definitely that, he impressed us both that much that he could hold on to the car with what damage it had, as well as no force feedback. And also round one was an exceptional driving through the field from 8th in qualifying, to pull it all the way back through. Unfortunately, as he said, second race didn't go to plan. But yeah, so MX-5 Cup, part of the academy, but also, we've got the other rounds of the following championships that are also lined up, as you see on screen. The Audi TTs, the Formula 4 and the Caterham. So really a very versatile set of cars that really is going to test all these drivers in whichever discipline they tend to try and perfect, if you like. So we've got the TT that is definitely based around strategy, the Formula 4 twitchy and very precise, and the Caterham, which is just a bit leery in general. So it's going to be a really good test for these drivers going on throughout the entire academy.
It is a very testing little championship this. You have 6 rounds with each car to try and hone your skills and become a more complete all-round driver. That was the real key of this championship, isn't it? Was to try and develop the driver's ability and skill and allow them to really compete in some of the other championships that VRRC run for any other drivers. But it's not just this MX-5 that we're going to be seeing. Like you said, F3s, I can't wait to see all of that action unfold. And Caterhams, like you mentioned, very light. But then we also come to the drivers aren't just racing for fun. They do have prizes, I believe, Dave.
Yeah, they do. So the whole idea behind this championship, the whole ethos behind it is really for driver improvement. We've tried to price it as a nice entry point, and you can see the prizes first to third is all relating around online one-to-one coaching. But as well as the one-to-one coaching, on even sign up to the championships, you do get weekly Q&A sessions as well as a masterclass with one of the pros who really tries to develop all the drivers and give them the best opportunity that makes them feel like they can go and enter the bigger championships with the bigger prizes. So I'm really enjoying at the moment seeing some of these drivers that are in this championship really progressing and starting to build that real confidence that you need to have to go into these bigger championships.
Yeah, and absolutely. And while we have qualifying has just started in the background, let's go though to a hot lap of this Silverstone circuit and really find out how you can get the fastest lap possible out of an MX-5 around the Silverstone National circuit.
So here we are, crossing the line at Silverstone National track, grabbing 5th just before the first corner. Really crucial for the first corner not to get too aggressive on them brakes. These brakes on this car are very, very good, but it's easy to shrug too much of that mid-corner speed off that you crucially need to keep that momentum. Same again here, going out the right-hander before the straight. See, maybe if I was maybe fractionally wide there, just missing the apex, but it's all about getting on them brakes, getting off them and getting straight back onto the throttle as we go through the corner. Nothing much to the straight, just rev it out, making sure we're not hitting that limiter, and we're going to open the left-hander up here as much as possible. And see, getting really far right, but then right across left, using all of the track on the inside, our tyres just within that red and white paint. And then last corner, trying to carry as much speed through the mid-corner as possible and getting the best exit possible, getting that wheel nice and straight on exit. You can see running the white line all the way at the start-finish line straight, just to make this track as short as possible.
So that was a lap by, well, our very own Dave Marshall, talking you through and showing you through a lap of this Silverstone National circuit. And we can see the first times have been set in qualifying currently. Simon Reed on provisional pole position, but with a 1 minute 5.999, you can imagine other drivers could be looking at that and thinking that's a beatable lap time. And, well, there's plenty of time left to go to beat that time.
Yeah, definitely so. You know, I mean, we're probably expecting the pole lap to be around sort of the mid 105 mark, maybe slightly later than that, 105.6, 105.7. But it's one of them tracks where you literally have to get every corner perfect because there's only 4 corners. As we see Andy Dorman there, a 105.8. To be fair, one of the guys that I've probably marked for taking that pole lap, Mick Sutton and Simon Reed, are also going to be very, very hot on his heels there. Simon Reed maybe slightly underprepared in relation to the other drivers here. Not quite as much practice, but I think we commented on this earlier, Ed, that the way Simon Reed seems to progress with the more laps he does, we're probably expecting to be a real threat going towards race 2. And, you know, when he's had a bit more seat time under him, definitely going to be a one to watch.
Yeah, and Simon Reed, if my memory serves correct from last time, he actually took pole position at Brands Hatch. So he could be trying to make it 2 poles on the bounce, but it's very difficult to do that in a championship that we've already seen is very competitive. The drivers equally matched. They were all together for all of the race, weren't they, at Brands? So we're expecting much of the same here. Run coming, though, out of... doesn't actually look too great. We're seeing Sam Milner, though, actually, following his progression. Let's have a look. His first sector was a personal best. He's hugging a tight line, isn't he, through. We've got onto this national straight. Keep it very tight as well to the pit wall. Is that an improvement for Sam Milner? No, there isn't. His last sector wasn't quite good enough. Other drivers trying to improve. Let's have a look at Mick Sutton, actually, because he's just set a purple sector in the first half of the lap. So as Mick Sutton comes up to the line now, how's his run been on this final half? Well, as he makes his way up to the line now, we'll be able to find out what he's been able to do, and it's not enough. Less than a 10th off of our pole sitter, Andy Dorman, but Mick Sutton, he finds himself on the front row provisionally. Andy Dorman, though, we come back to, and he's just set a purple sector himself. They're all finding the pace all of a sudden here, Dave.
Yeah, you know what, I don't know whether this is maybe the tyres are just really starting to switch into that bracket, maybe a little bit of fuel starting to wear off, or maybe it's just, as you said, getting into that rhythm, getting a little bit more relaxed into this qualifying session, as I would imagine we're going to see Andy Dorman. Does he beat his time? No, 300th of a second off his pole lap currently, but with his sector 1 time, we know he's definitely got a little bit more pace in the car. But yet again, saying that, we've seen Mick Sutton as well, potentially got more time in the car, just hasn't managed to quite hook his lap up yet.
Yeah, Simon Reed as well as a driver that has more time in the car. Personal best in the first sector. Second sector, though, what is it going to be for Simon Reed? I don't think he'll be improving this time by now. He doesn't. He does a 1 minute 6.0. So not enough for Simon Reed to get up onto the front row just yet, but like we've been saying, plenty of time left for drivers to get into that groove, get the rhythm going, and try and manage all they can do. Following now James McGill coming down this long Wellington straight. You can find as well, actually, there's a car behind getting slipstream. I wonder who that is. Whoever it is, they're definitely going to be very happy. Could that be potentially... Have a look, and that is... I think that's Alex Bennett. So Alex Bennett, well, he was one of the sort of performers that we were quite surprised by, wasn't he? At Brands Hatch, had a very good race with the reverse grid in the first half of the second race, but just dropped down after a safety car that really negated his advantage. Seeing though what these two drivers can manage. So James McGill crosses the line in front of Alex Bennett. Is James McGill going to improve? No, not quite. Alex Bennett, however, does improve, and he takes 6th place from James McGill. So James might be a bit upset that he gave Alex Bennett that toe to help him beat him.
Yeah, a driver that I'm noticing though currently is Teddy Hines, actually. out on track at the moment. You know, he was really quite disappointed with his performance from Brands Hatch, especially in qualifying race 1. Just felt like there was no sort of rhythm there, didn't really show what he could do. But race 2, obviously, bringing himself home, you know, halfway through the grid, and actually in championship-wise, putting him about midway in the championship as well. But this is probably more the performance we're going to be expecting to see, sitting currently in 4th place on the board. You know, a low 106 is around the best time he's managed to do in practice. So I think he'd be really quite happy that in qualifying so far, he's managed to actually almost match his personal best he's ever done. So to do that in a qualifying session is always something really impressive to see. You know, as a driver, you always want to try and get the maximum potential out of your car possible, and he is doing that at the moment.
He certainly is. The driver that's trying all he can is Simon Reed. Like you said, 3rd place for him as he makes his way up across the line, though not an improvement this time by, but we'll watch him go through the first sector here. Not quite using all of the circuit that you can do on the exit of Copse, but still looks like it's a good amount of pace that he's taking here into Max, and then the long right-hander at Beckett's again over the curb, and he loses the rear of the car, gets a snap of oversteer on the exit, and then as the drawing corrector isn't able to do so, and that's his qualifying lap time there going down the drain. So he's going to try and dust himself off and go once more.
Yeah, you know what? That was quite good to see, Ed, because if I'm honest, I think probably watching it, it looks like these cars are relatively slow and really easy to drive, but actually they've got a limit where when you get to it, the car can have quite a significant snap because the amount of grip the car actually has. So Simon Reed there demonstrated, you know, a little bit of grass on the tyres, got on the throttle coming out the corner, but once the car started to rotate one way, didn't quite have the power to just keep drifting it. He backed off the throttle and the front end just rotated and put him straight towards a wall. So it's definitely something like that. If you were in a pack of cars at the start of a race, you can see why this car is actually, you know, almost a little bit scary at times to drive, the way it can snap. But on the whole, as long as you drive it nice and smooth, get the car balanced early on the brake, early on the throttle on exit, the car is really nice and balanced and very forgiving to drive. So definitely one of them cars that, especially for the newcomers to sim racing, is a really nice and confidence-inspiring car.
Yeah, I'm having a look there, and I can't see many drivers improving. In fact, it's basically a sea of orange, isn't it, on our timing software, that we can see no drivers really finding improvements on the circuit. So something maybe happening with getting too much tyre wear now. Maybe the fuel isn't quite good. Maybe drivers have come into the pits and taken a fresh set, and they're just getting, well, for their second run of qualifying, I'm not sure. But Simon Reed, you can see he really does cut the inside there of, I think that's Brooklyn's there, the left-hander. He got away with it, though. I think that was a legal cut. You can definitely get away with it. As Mick Sutton, I can just see, has improved again, but not quite up into pole position. He's going faster, though, in the first sector. We'll see what Mick Sutton can manage. Meanwhile, Simon Reed across the line again, not an improvement for him. Maybe he's found a wall. Maybe he can't find any more pace. Meanwhile, Mick Sutton here, coming out of the final corner here on the throttle too early there. He was chasing the lap time, made a mistake, and that's this lap, and it's probably next lap not going to be improvements for Mick Sutton, but it was looking to be a very good lap time.
Yeah, I mean, I know Mick, and probably watching that there, I imagine that came out with a good scream of anger as he got on the throttle and didn't want to back out and force himself wide there, because that first sector was a particularly good first sector, and it's one of them where, especially if you've got your delta on the screen that shows you whether you're up or down on your current lap time, it can be a real distraction, and I actually prefer to run qualifying with my delta running off. So I don't know whether I'm up or down. I just try and drive everything I can and push the car as hard as I can, and then hopefully that's enough. I just find the deltas too distracting, but some drivers really bounce off it and rely on it to know when they need to push harder and when they don't. But yeah, as we saw there, Mick Sutton was up in the first sector, probably because he was up at his delta, ended up being a bit greedy on throttle and exit and paid the price because of it.
Yeah, he was definitely chasing the lap time, and that's the thing, is you have a goal to work towards, but sometimes you can get your blinkers on, you don't look at the whole bigger picture, you don't realise what is there and what you can get out of the lap times. But you can just see that Andy Dorman has set a much faster lap time now, 1 minute 5.652. Very quick lap time, and really started to build a margin between himself and this second place man, Mick Sutton. So he's definitely improving, showing some very good pace. Simon Reed, though, we're going to follow here. Is we're going to be able to make an improvement. Not personal best in this, the first sector. But what can it get coming out of this? The final corner here, crucial for your lap times, isn't it? Getting the best run possible onto these long, flat-out sections of track. Simon Reed, as he makes his way up to the line, is an improvement from third for him. Not quite, no. He's still into the 1 minute 5s, consistent 1 minute 5s, but that was just not quite what he was hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, I said at the start of qualifying, Ed, that I thought, the pole lap would be around a 1:05.6, and sure enough, Andy took, nearly all of qualifying to do, but there it is, a 1:05.6 on current pole. I think, if I'm honest, that's going to be a fair tall order for anyone to try and beat that. But Mick Sutton was caught in an interview at the end of the previous round there, where he actually turned around and said he doesn't really think that Silverstone is going to be a battle of the qualifying. He thinks it's all going to come down to the race. And actually, I agree with him. For all Andy is looking like he's going to put a provisional pole at the moment, all it's going to take is Mick to get nice and close and tucked in and drive within himself, coming out of Beckett's down that back straight, and see whether then he can use the slipstream to pull his way past. It's all going to come down to race strategy here a bit as well, guarding how early you try and go for them passes, or whether you've got the confidence that you've got enough pace to hang on to the guy in front with the slipstream alone and work with him to really help pull away from the rest of the pack, and then you can start a battle. We see that a lot in go-karting, where drivers will try and run away as a group and pull away from the rest of the grid, and it's a bit of like a driver's agreement that the last 5 laps of the race, then they'll go on the attack, and that's when they'll try and make all the moves happen.
Yeah, so we're coming on board here with Andy Dorman for his final lap of this qualifying session. He's done a session best out of everyone else, a 34.0 in this first half of the lap. He tries to send it in. He carries good amount of speed into Brooklands, just Luffield to go. Opens up the corner nicely. This could be a very good lap time here from Andy Dorman. Kisses the apex, gets on the throttle. Maybe got a little bit too late on the throttle, didn't use all of the track on the exit, but still, this could be a real shot in the arm for him, and maybe gets all the other drivers a little bit concerned about his pace. Andy Dorman comes up across the line, not an improvement though, loses out a 1/10 of a second on that last sector. Still would have been a lap that was good enough for pole position though. Mick Sutton, what could he do? Perhaps he's coming through on a lap, as is Sam Milner. Mick Sutton, though, I don't think he is on a lap actually. No, he's off on the side of the circuit there. So Mick Sutton, second place, not making any improvements. Well, I think that was Sam Milner that we saw coming into the pits. Alex Bennett, last of the drivers to try and improve, and I don't know if he's on a better lap either. No, and he's coming into the pits. So with that, qualifying is, well, over and done with. Provisional, well, not provisional anymore. Pole sitter Andy Dorman will be starting this race from the front of the grid.
Yeah, definitely, and I think, you touched on it there before. You can maybe just about see, Andy Dorman last lap, a 1:05.753. Even a lap that didn't beat his current pole was still enough to take pole if it was that backup lap. And the previous lap before that he did was another 1:05.7 as well. So that's the sort of stats where, as a driver competing against him, on paper, that's really quite worrying when, you can do 3 laps off the bat. That is nearly a 1/10 faster than what Mick's managed to do in second place. So Andy's definitely going to go into this as a strong favourite for race 1. But as I said, slipstream's definitely going to play a part in this, and I think Mick Sutton will be keen to try and make the most of that as early as possible.
Yeah, it's all like you said, trying to make the most if you can. But, well, we do have a driver in the comms box with us now, and I believe we can chat with our pole sitter, Andy Dorman. Andy, congratulations on that. You were talking that you set 3 lap times that would have been enough for pole position, but 1 minute 5.6 was the time in the end. Surely that bodes brilliantly for the race.
Yeah, I've got off to a good start this week, I think.
Yeah, you certainly have. It's been an excellent performance out on the circuit, but drivers have been saying that this is a track where qualifying might not account for the be all and end all in the race with the long slipstream you get. Is that one thing that you need to be really aware of?
I'm not sure, to be fair. We're going to find out quite shortly.
Yeah, we certainly are. But starting on pole, are you going to have any tactics you might try on the opening lap?
Try and stay out front, I think.
Out front. And well, your pace is good for this first race. Is it a matter of just bagging good points in both the second and first race, or are you just going to go for it and get the race win?
I think we're just going to go for it and see where we end up.
Absolutely, that is what we love to hear. Thank you very much, Andy. Congratulations on your pole position, and we'll wish you all the very best.
Yep, thanks a lot.
So that was Andy Dorman coming in. And, well, he seems to be quite confident, doesn't he, Dave, about his prospects going into this?
Yeah, you definitely, Andy, definitely a man of few words. He's a northerner, not too far from me, but he lets his driving do the talking, that's for sure. And he's put it on pole. I think he's probably quietly confident that he knows he's got the pace to win this race. But it's one of them things where it's a driver not used to being on the front of the grid, so it's how he deals with that pressure, and also making sure he doesn't over defend that, slows that pace down that he does have. So yeah, the start of this race is actually going to be really quite crucial for him to sort of maintain that lead and really try to pull away that gap in the first two corners if he can. That'll really allow him to create some sort of gap between him and Mick Sutton, because if Mick Sutton get on that bumper, I really don't know how good this slipstream's going to be down this straight. Whether we see an overlap of maybe 5 miles an hour, possibly. If it's not quite that, it'll be still enough for Mick to at least draw alongside the car, and then it's going to be bravery on the brakes.
Yeah, it is going to be all about being brave and really going for it in this, the first race of the evening. You do have the reverse grids for the top 10, but with the drivers out on circuit, it's probably going to be, well, in effect, a full reverse grid. But as we wait for the excitement to begin, we do have excitement that comes up tomorrow, don't we? We have the VRRC touring cars that are going to be happening, and I believe that'll be, is it yourself and Jack Oliphant in the com spots for that one? It
is, yeah. Myself and Jack both commentate on the League of Champions touring cars. It's the opening round tomorrow, so it's the first chance to see the driver's raw speed in the car, as well as no ballast in the car. It's the only round in the touring cars when they're not running with ballast, and it's their true pace. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how people get on tomorrow. Same starting time for the stream, so if you're interested in it and you want to get involved in it, then make sure you jump on 7:30 and have a watch on YouTube of how the drivers get on, because there's some serious prizes up for grabs in League of Champions, and the drivers really give it the absolute all to gain any position possible. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing how the drivers do in that.
Yeah, absolutely. The first round is another British track, Donington Park. A second, I believe we go to later on in the season as well in these Academy MX-5s, but we do have only 30 seconds rather, until the green flag is waved. Andy Dorman there on pole position, Mick Sutton alongside him on the front row. Could he try something potentially into Cops? You never know, it could be very exciting. Simon Reed's behind to pick up the pieces should the top two squabble, along with Teddy Hines there in 4th, Sam Milner 5th, with Alex Bennett in 6th place, Simon Thorpe 7th, and James McGill running the field there in 8th place. So the race is about to get underway now. We'll start to see the lights come on, and this first race of the evening here at Silverstone is underway now, and it's a great start there from Mick Sutton down the inside of Andy Dorman. He's going to have the overlap into the first corner at Cops. Here we can see Mick Sutton there on the inside. He's going to go for it. He's going to try and send the speed. Bit too much over the curb, unsettled the car, and that allowed Andy Dorman to really carry the speed around the outside. And I think we'll see him slotting back up into the front of the field. Well, look at this. What a great start it was as well from Simon Reed. And he shot up down the inside at Beckett's into the lead of the race. Andy Dorman running wide off the circuit and losing not just one position, but potentially two there. Mick Sutton in the black, red and yellow MX-5 getting involved in the mix for sure. You can see this though down the inside. You can count on Andy Dorman. He's going to go for the move. He's going to try and take it back if he can. gets back ahead there of Mick Sutton. Running very wide there on the run, coming through this final corner. Misses the apex completely on exit, so his run might not be too great going into the first corner. But now the order is Simon Reed from Andy Dorman from Mick Sutton as they come to the end of this first lap. What a start it was, though, from Mick Sutton. He just wasn't able to capitalise into the first corner.
Yeah, it really was, and that was probably a case of real calculated aggression there by Simon Reed. As we see Andy Dorman, I must point out, if you run a little bit wide on that turn one and get out onto that green stuff, it really seems to pull the car down a little bit on outright lap time and outright speed. So that's all that happened to Andy Dorman there. He lost a bit of that straight line speed. But yeah, as you can see, that calculated aggression by Simon Reed helped them gain them 2 places, even though outright pace, we know he's maybe not quite got what he needs to hold on to this lead. But I'm really impressed so far. Andy Dorman with a look up the inside of Simon Reed. Simon Reed going very deep on the brakes there, maybe just getting a little bit spooked there by Andy Dorman up the inside. Simon Reed might be able to hold on to the inside line here. This is where Mick Sutton really needs these two to battle, almost trip over themselves a little bit, and then use the advantage of any sort of momentum he'll have to drive his way past Simon Reed and Mick Sutton. There's a really interesting battle here also happening between Alex Bennett and Teddy Hines here, constantly trading places. I think they've drove the past half a lap side by side here. Simon Thorpe actually as well, right amongst the battle here as well. So and I believe was that Andy Dorman with a collision on the exit of turn one. Hopefully that isn't any significant damage there. Try to see on whether it was Simon Reed or Mick Sutton. We didn't quite see it, but I'm trying to see on the car.
I think
Simon Reed was it?
Yeah,
Simon
they were
Reed
going
with the
2 by
collision.
2 into the first corner there, and that was always going to end in tears. Simon Reed there had the inside line. Like you mentioned, he had the calculated aggression. He knew when to go for the moves and when to not do. He came out on top in this one. We don't know exactly what happened with that. We can't go to any replays or anything, so we'll instead just like to do what we always do as commentators and speculate and all sorts of wild potential reasons for it. But now we'll just say that Simon Reed and Andy Dorman had a bit of a coming together. Andy Dorman looks to come through. It could have been a potential issue with lag or a bit of net code there, as I hear from one of our race directors. So we'll move on and we'll see that, well, we're coming on board, aren't we, with, this is Samuel right behind him, Andy Dorman, who's going to be looking to come up through the order. Mick Sutton, though, does set the fastest lap of the race so far, and he's going to be going into what he hopes to be the lead of the race, looking to go around the outside there of Simon Reed. Simon holds the inside line, and as they make their way down this Wellington straight, well, Mick is really going for it, isn't he? He's not going to be giving up without a fight. Meanwhile, in the background, there's battles kicking off. We don't know where to look, do we? Sam Milner dropping back here. That's behind. Oh, Andy Dorman down the inside. Simon Thorpe got through. Milner is really in the thick of it. Meanwhile, up further ahead, Mick Sutton did get past into the lead of the race on Simon Reed.
Yeah, he did indeed. And Andy Dorman, you can see just on outright pace alone, has managed to get through these cars, use that slipstream, and really managed to get past them when he can, down into the tighter complex, which is where obviously Andy Dorman was getting that little bit more speed out of the car than the other drivers. Alex Bennett coming into the pits. This is a bit of a strange one. I don't know whether we might find out from a race director whether this has been a drive-through for possibly a jump start. I can't think he's going to be pitting for tyres or fuel or anything like that, but maybe he has misfueled the car. You know, it's one of the things that a lot of these drivers are learning as they go through the series, and maybe he's just not put enough fuel in for the race. So yeah, really quite interesting to see what's happened there. I think Teddy Hines has had a collision with James McGill just coming at the back shot, as we can see. Unfortunately there for him, but Mick Sutton and Simon Reed, the big battle that's happening up front at the moment, only a 0.1 of a second separating them.
If I could just jump in, look who else is just in the rear of the shot. Andy Dorman is closing back in. He's just set the fastest first sector of anybody this race. So if these two keep battling further in front, Mick Sutton and Simon Reed, as they tend to do, Simon Miller knocked his way through there on Simon Thorpe. That was Sam Milner getting through. Great little overtake there. You could really see the attitude of his car as I'm coming through, and it was a legal move. He had the track position, didn't force him out wide, just a little bit of a nudge from his rear bumper that through. Nice as well through the first quarter. So Sam Milner takes 4th place. Andy Dorman, though, with the fastest lap of the race so far, 1 minute 5.9, closing up to the lead pair of Mick Sutton and Simon Reed.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is a battle. I think this is going to last the full 13 minutes, as far as I'm concerned. I think it's going to go right down.
Minutes. It's going to go all season long.
That is very true, actually, Ed. Very, very true. You know, these two drivers really seem to be very similar on pace. Simon Reed with a huge snap of oversteer on transition of the weight there. That's the sign of aggression that just can really unsettle the car. He just needs to bring it back a little bit, you know, dial it back a little bit and get back onto the back of Mick Sutton and use that slipstream just to bring that little bit of lap time back that he's maybe lacking in outright pace. But Andy Dorman, yet again, with a Sector 1 fastest time here. It'll be interesting to see whether he goes faster again. He doesn't quite beat it, but he's still got the fastest lap time of the race so far, lapping about a 10th faster at the moment, Mick Sutton. So it's going to take a few more laps before Andy Dorman can really make any headway here onto the back of Mick Sutton.
So it was only 100th different from his fastest lap and the fastest lap of the race. So he's consistent as well as Andy Dorman, which could be a little bit of a worry for Simon Reed and Mick Sutton. But we did allude to it, didn't we, early on, that Simon Reed hasn't had the amount of laps under his belt compared to the top two, as Mick Sutton now sets the fastest lap of the fastest first sector of the race so far. So we have clear air out in front, no slipstream to gain, but still doing very good. But as I was about to allude to, Simon Reed, he's going to be learning so much more than he would have been able to have done with 100 laps of practice, because he's in the race situation. He's right behind the car in front and the car that could be setting fastest lap of the race so far. Mick Sutton, purple first sector, as he comes across the line. Here it is, a fastest lap of the race.
Wow.
1 minute 5.676. And I'm not sure if that would have been enough for pole position, but if it wasn't, it'd certainly be right up there. Very quick lap time for Mick, the fastest thing he's ever done around the Silverstone National circuit. And what a time to do it, isn't it, when it counts in the race?
Yeah, it's not quite the fastest lap time he's ever managed to do. Only been about 5,000 off that lap time, so very, very close. But I guess this is probably one of their moments where he's going, why couldn't I have just done that in qualifying and made my job easier and put it on pole? But, you know, it's one of them things where, you know, sometimes even drivers find it a little bit easier when they've got a little bit more fuel in the car and the car feels a little bit more balanced and settled. Maybe it's helped with a bit of rotation. You know, it'd be really good to find out from Mick Sutton of what he thought the balance of the car was like, as that is a huge slide from Teddy Hines in front. I can't imagine how that must have felt. I know Teddy Hines is actually running on a full motion rig, so I imagine he felt the full effect of that slide there.
Oh, that'd be very exciting to feel that just fully sliding on through. Maybe it helped him catch it a little bit. He was able to tell when it was going and then slam on the opposite lock, get it going. Andy Dorman, though, sets his personal best lap of the race so far, 1 minute 5.8, consistently quick. Meanwhile, James McGill going out of Cops. Is he going to go for a move down the inside on Teddy Hines? There is Teddy Hines in all of this, so you can see that there are still two abreast. Down the inside goes. I think that is one of the two, because they do look very similar, isn't it? So it's difficult to see or tell them apart. They're ever so similar. There's just one that's got a slight amount of blue on rather than a little bit of white. It is James McGill that slots in behind Teddy Hines.
Yeah, it is indeed, and actually Simon Reed, has gone fast in first sector. So Simon Reed's starting to put the pace on. Mick Sutton, even though he went and did that 105.6, the following lap a 106.4. So you can see how, for all he's gained all that time, then he's lost it again. That lap time a 105.874. Simon Reed with his fastest lap, he's done a 105.818, and then Andy Dorman a 105.802. So absolutely nothing to separate between these three drivers at the moment. We just need them to get a little bit closer and start a battle again, because I tell you what, this battle is really going to hot up.
Go for it. Simon Reed has had a great run there, just dipping a wheel onto the grass, but still he's getting into the slipstream. This is his chance to really go for it, like you were hoping here, Dave. Down the inside he's going to go on Mick Sutton. He was squeezed, but he found the space. Hard onto the brakes into Brooklands. Oh my word, what a send that was around the outside by Mick Sutton. He's carried the speed and he's carried his way still up into first place. Too much on it though. Coming into Luffield here as they make the way through Woodcote. They are going to be side by side. Reed just, I think, ahead of Sutton. No, Reed is definitely now fully ahead of Sutton. Great little position of his car, but Sutton, calm down. Don't want to throw it all away just yet. Oh no, there's contact between the pair of them there. This is the battling that Andy Dorman was hoping for, and now he's going to be able to pick up the pieces. Could go down the inside on Reed.
Yeah, that was an incredible hold by Simon Reed there, just to get a nudge in the side there in turn one, but hold it with full open throttle. Andy Dorman up the inside here. He won't want to run it too far wide. Simon Reed's opened up and got the drive out the exit. They're going to be both side by side, but look, Andy Dorman is actually in the toe of Mick Sutton. Simon Reed's already passed, so Mick Sutton seems to be having real issues with Beckett's corner there, losing a lot of time onto the Wellington straight here, but seems to make all his time up on the last part of the section of the track as he ran a little bit deep there, hitting the back of Simon Reed. So maybe that's saying Simon Reed's a little bit late, and unfortunately Andy Dorman has just cut across the front of Simon Reed slightly. Maybe Simon Reed running a little bit too much speed into the corner with Andy Dorman on his outside there. But this is going to play right in the hands of Mick Sutton, who's going, right, now I need to get my head down and go. But look at this, Andy Dorman's not going to let that happen. He's up the outside of Mick Sutton. Is he going to be early on the brakes here? He isn't, in fact. He's actually giving Mick Sutton a little nudge there through turn one. These drivers are pushing as hard as these cars will go.
7 minutes to go in this race, but I might have a heart attack until then because this is really nail-biting stuff. Andy Dorman looks for a different sort of line coming through that corner onto this long straight. So Mick Sutton leads the race for Andy Dorman. Simon Reed still in the third place, but he's going to be so upset about how he lost out on that position. He had the inside, and it might have been Andy Dorman, the case of him just cutting across the nose of his car there. He was still on the inside. Unfortunate bit of racing, but that's just sometimes how it goes. The drivers, I believe, though, do use Helicourse, which is a little way to find out about where the cars are near and around you. As we see now, Andy Dorman and Mick Sutton going wheel to wheel. Who's going to come out on this, do you reckon? Andy Dorman's forced off the road. Please let us know in the comments if you're watching. Who are you rooting for this race victory, Mick Sutton or Andy Dorman?
Yeah, I mean, I can't quite tell at the moment. I think Mick Sutton's definitely got the aggression to do it, but Andy Dorman seems to have the little bit more consistent pace lap in, lap out. But honestly, this is anyone's game, and all it's going to take is for these to start to trip over each other a little bit. And look, Simon Reed's only 3 seconds back, which I know sounds like a lot, but both these two last laps here were 106.7s. Meanwhile, Simon Reed is nearly nudging the 105, so there's nearly a second a lap difference just with these two fighting alone. I am noticing that Andy Dorman seems to have the advantage in the first sector, whereas Mick Sutton seems to have a little bit more pace in the second sector. As I say that, actually Andy Dorman's hanging about with him at the moment. The one thing I would say to these drivers at the moment is, I think the calculation of when to go for the overtake, you know, just because you're on the back of a car entering a corner doesn't mean that's necessarily then the corner to try and get that overtake done. You know, turn one is a very, very fast corner. There's not a lot of room, even though it's a wide corner, where there's not a lot of room to actually get the pass done in the corner. You'd see it's one line through it, using all of the track. But the idea is you took yourself in behind the car, line yourself up, and maybe a possible move here going down in towards Beckett's.
Yeah, definitely. That's probably an area where we've seen most of the drivers try and go for the passes into Beckett's. Look at this, though, around the outside. Well, goes Andy Dorman on Mick Sutton, and that's going to give him the inside into Brooklands. Is Mick Sutton just confident, though, in his ability? We've already seen him do it once before, of just sending it around the outside and keeping the inside. For Luffield, well, he's going to go for it, isn't he? Is he still there down the inside, or has Andy Dorman slot his way up into the lead of the race? Yes, he has. So Dorman now leads in those final 4.5 minutes. But these drivers battling together might be allowing Simon Reed to close in. And if they fight too much more, well, we could see Simon suddenly joining back into the fight.
Yeah, definitely. But I think that, for all Simon Reed's a little bit off the front two now here. This is what we were saying before. He was one of the drivers who didn't have quite as many practice laps, and all this is going to allow him to do is race a little bit in clean air, find a rhythm, and definitely be the one to watch for me going into race 2. He's probably learned quite a lot already from this. Mick Sutton, he is probably picking up little tips here from Andy Dorman of how to consistently get Beckett's right. It's been Mick Sutton's sort of Achilles problem there, going down into Beckett's, losing a lot of speed mid-corner and sacrifice his exit down the Wellington straight. So he's really starting to pick up on what Andy Dorman's doing here, and he might actually find himself starting to consistently get a little bit faster and allow him to pull himself in there. You see Andy Dorman losing a little bit of speed going as far left on the track. Mick Sutton there losing a little bit of speed by cutting the corner a little bit too fine. So there's definitely mistakes from both of these drivers here at the moment that could allow Simon Reed to be brought back into the picture here. He's took another 2/10 out so far this lap, so he's definitely a driver on the move and really starting to get a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, he needs these two to get so much closer than they currently are if he wants the hope of catching until, well, before the end of the race as we come into the final 3 minutes now. Andy Dorman leads the race ahead of Mick Sutton. Simon Reed comfortably third. He's basically in his own little race with Sam Milner far too far back to really be of any concern, and well, there's nothing Simon Reed can do in his power at least to catch up. He just needs to set lap times that he's been setting all race and keep that consistent pace up. I think which are the closest battles out on circuit. They've all started to maybe cool it off a little bit in this final moment. The drivers that are the closest, they were probably these two, Andy Dorman and Mick Sutton. But Dorman, now that he's back up into the lead of the race, he is, well, really hitting his marks now. I've not seen really any mistakes on this lap. He's trying to build a margin, and it's looking very good for Andy Dorman at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, a driver I'm going to touch upon that I'm actually really quite impressed with, looking at where he qualified. Simon Thorpe's found his way up into 5th position and lapping actually really consistently as well. So Simon Thorpe here doing a real good job of jumping in the car last minute, getting out on track, getting them consistent laps in. And look, his car is almost immaculate, I would say there, Ed. So he's had a good clean start. He's used the other people's mistakes as his advantage, drove within himself and found himself actually in a very good points position at the moment.
Yeah, very good points position indeed. So Simon Thorpe, he's trying to close in, isn't he, to Sam Milner in front. He's getting good lap times, but maybe not good enough to really be there at the end of the race. But I think we do have one more lap to go. So as the drivers, there's going to be 1 or 2 laps to go. That's going to be the real question, I think, as they come up to the line now. It could be tight here between Andy Dorman. I think he's going to cross the line and we'll be on the white flag lap. So as Andy Dorman makes his way across the line now, we have seen the white flag being shown. This is it, the final lap of the race for our race leader, Andy Dorman. Pole sitter as well, converting it potentially into a race victory, but maybe not as simply as he was hoping, because, well, after the first couple of laps, he was down all the way in 7th place. Had an amazing fight back up since then, though, and is in a commanding position in the lead of the race. Mick Sutton in 2nd place. He's always been up there in the top. They all race long, been in contention, good, hard, but fair driving. It's just not been his day, and he's just not had the pace later on in this stage. So Andy Dorman, just a couple more corners to go, and he will see himself a race victor, and I believe his first race victory of the season as well. Coming out of the final corner here, just woodcut to go, and Andy Dorman will be your race victor for this, the first race of the evening here at Silverstone National. Great job there by Andy. Mick Sutton coming home in 2nd place with Simon Reed there in 3rd. There we see Sam Milner in 4th, crossing the line, followed by Simon Thorpe and Teddy Hines there in 6th place. And just 2 more to go a little bit further back. James McGill and Alex Bennett. And Alex, we'll expect to see him starting on pole position in the 2nd race of the evening. But we've had a whole host of drivers come into the interview. So Dave, take it away.
Yeah, so we'll go to our P3 finisher, Simon Reed. It was an incredibly good start of the race that saw you get up to P1 probably quicker than even you expected, and especially as the race went on, you really found the race a lot more comfortable and your lap times a lot more comfortable. So going forward into race 2, I guess you're looking quite comfortable here regarding trying to get through the pack and hold your own more at the front.
Yeah, I think I'll be able to get back up there, and my start is quite strong. So yeah, obviously I had a bit of a problem with rubber banding, which I think is what caused Andy to go into the back of me and fly off the track. So I'm sorry for that. But yeah, then I had a bit of difficulty in the last corner trying to get past him. So yeah, not. I mean, you can't be disappointed with third, can you? But it's I want to be up there battling for the lead.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a fantastic point haul regarding the championship to bring home a podium, and especially, definitely looking at your lap times, you're definitely running a lot closer to them front running times than you were at the start of qualifying. So it's a good progression, and looking forward to seeing how you get on in race 2.
Very much, Dave. Yeah, I hope to do well.
And we'll move to our P2 finisher, Mick Sutton. I guess you're probably looking at your lap time, wondering why you couldn't have done that in qualifying. A hell of a lap.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got no idea how that happened. It all just came together on that one lap, full of fuel and everything. I don't know. But Andy is super quick. He's just quick everywhere. I can't seem to understand how he can do some of the corners as fast as he does.
Well, looking at the lap times, in fact, one of the very rare times we actually see it, there was one lap that you and Andy lapped identical down to the thousandth of a second. So regarding your lap times, I don't think that's too much to worry. But you did seem to be, there was one corner particularly that you were struggling on, which was Beckett's going out on the Wellington Straight. That's sort of where you were, losing the big amount of momentum and allowing drivers to get the run on you past. I take it following Andy there might have just helped you get a few laps under your belt and seeing how, to improve the consistency through that corner. And that's what helped you, finish, consistently within a second each lap of Andy.
Yeah, I mean, definitely following Andy through there. You're quite right there, and the last corner through the complex there. I don't know. I seem to either go in too quick or I go in too slow. I just never seem to get any of those corners perfect. But never mind. Look, P2's P2. That's another lump of points for the championship. So well happy with that.
Yeah, definitely. As you say, like second place, you cannot complain with that really. And fantastic result there, Mick. And looking forward to seeing how you get on race 2 to get through this grid from the back.
Cheers. Thanks for that. Cheers. Good luck, everybody else.
And we'll move on to our P1 finisher. You put it on pole, Andy, but you lost it quite quick with Simon Reed getting through the pack rather quickly. I take it this sort of second race plays into your favour a little bit more, relying on a little bit more patience and allowing you to pick the drivers off with the outright lap time that you have on the board.
Yeah, that first race was a bit more eventful than we planned, I think.
Yeah, it was a little bit with certain little bits of contact, but in saying that, it was a fantastic effort by you, and you brought it back and picked your way off and got that consistent lap time in that allowed you to bring yourself back into the picture and allowed you to bring home the win.
Yeah, it's definitely given us a workout.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing how you get on with it in race 2. You've definitely got the lap time there. So, yeah, good consistency. I think should see you get through the grid quite well here, Andy, and good luck in race 2.
Yep, thanks a lot.
So a little bit of I think hopefully we are all back now. We don't have any pictures, but I think the race is about to get underway. And it is a front row start here from, let's go to get live pictures. Now we can see Alex Bennett on pole position ahead of James McGill there on the front row of the grid. They get underway here for the second time this evening now, and it's a brilliant start once more from Alex Bennett. getting off the line nicely. It's the second time I think that we've seen him start towards the front end of these reverse grid races. But then when you see him start these second races, it's almost as if he belongs up there all day long. He really does show excellent pace. Meanwhile, drivers in the thick of it. Well, Mick Sutton is really in there. You can see his very distinctive black, yellow and red machine getting involved in a little bit of a tussle there, trying to get through on Sam. I think that is Simon Thorpe in the mix of it. Drivers all trying to find track space anywhere they can on the run into Brooklands.
Yeah, Simon Reid here, already up to fourth, battling for third place. So, you know, it's good to see a driver acknowledge where his strengths are. And Simon Reid is acknowledged that. He's gone, you know what, I think I'm quite a good starter at the start of the race. I can find my form, I can calculate my aggression. Simon Thorpe there getting a little bit sideways with Sam Milner. Andy Dorman in quite a dangerous position to be on the outside of that corner. Teddy Hines there running a little bit wide on the gravel. I can't see any scrapes on his car, so I presume that was just a little bit of a run wide there out of the last corner. Simon Reid finding his way all the way up to P3, as I said already. Simon Thorpe driving within himself. Look, oh, Andy Dorman there just missing the front of Simon's car there, but he's going to be under threat here by Sam Milner going down towards Beckett. So this could be a move on. Is he going to defend this inside line, or is as we see Sam Milner nearly outbraking himself into the back of Simon Thorpe? But look at this battle ahead. Andy Dorman and Mick Sutton side by side yet again coming down the Wellington Straight.
Yeah, Ninset Romano, who was saying this battle was going to go on all season long, and it's certainly looking likely. All of these drivers very evenly matched. Mick Sutton just ahead of Andy Dorman for the time being. They're trying to close in on James McGill. Simon Reid, however, what a start he's had to the race. He's already up into second place, trying to close the gap to Alex Bennett, who's been leading this race. And what I'm very thankful for the fact is that so far, this could be cursed the contact, we haven't seen any incidents that have warranted a safety car. It's been very clean all evening, I have to be saying, and well, we're seeing some very quick times being set now. Quite blistering, but still looking very good. But talk about blistering, what a run that was from Andy Dorman down on the inside of Mick Sutton. He's got a great run now as they make their way through Maggots and then hard onto the brakes into Beckett. Carry the speed through because he got the long Wellington Straight still to come. Oh. Excellent drive out of the corner. You can hear, can't you? Mick Sutton really brilliant holding it around the outside and holding on to fourth place. This could be a way for him to get to third though. Is he going to send it on James McGill? He looks for it and he might just go for it late on the brakes. Does he get it stopped in time for the corner? Yes, he does. I think that was James McGill being very kind to Mick Sutton there.
Yeah, what a fantastic move there by Mick Sutton. I've got to hold him, come around Beckett's outside line there, just the commitment to get on the throttle, get the car rotated and hold it around the outside of Andy. Andy a little bit fearful, I think, of running into the side of Mick Sutton. Maybe not quite as committed, but no lack of commitment there from Mick Sutton, and that's really what kept him in the picture here. James McGill up the inside of Andy Dorman. Andy Dorman might try and brave it round the outside. There's been enough room given. I've got to hand it to these drivers, you know, for all it's the academy and a series really in here to try and develop drivers. The standards of driving here are absolutely fantastic regarding respect, space given and lack of contact. Whoa, as we see Andy Dorman, but see that? James McGill saw the driver come in, steered away to avoid any sort of contact. Honestly, this is absolutely outstanding driving standards to see from development drivers. Fantastic.
Yeah, we hope that we don't have curse of the commentator here as Simon Thorpe looks to go down the inside of James McGill. James McGill, though, carrying the speed through the corner. This is great stuff here from James. He's showing that he can be clean and respectful, but also that he can really race when he has to. And he's keeping hold on to fifth place at the moment. That'd be a good haul of points if he's able to bring it across the line. Meanwhile, further in front, we're seeing a battle for the lead side by side. Alex Bennett and Simon Reid. Alex just ahead as they made their way into Cops, but Simon Reid with the inside line. He's able to take that position and gets up into the lead of the race. Not all over yet, though. Alex Bennett with the drive coming out of the corner. He's going to look to go around on the inside at Beckett's. They go through Maggots, now into Beckett's. Slight look down on the inside. I thought there was going to be contact there. Alex Bennett very late on the brakes and stopping the car. Simon Reid, though, up into the lead of the race. we said he could be a good shout for the second race. And well, if he's able to build the gap now, that's certainly very good. He's going to try and lose the rest of the field if he can. Meanwhile, well, we're on board with Teddy Hines for a front row seat of James McGill and Simon Thorpe. Simon Thorpe down the inside of James McGill, and I think he's got that position made. Teddy Hines, whoa, he sees the gap, he goes for it. Brilliant overtake there, one of the highlights of the evening. Is he going to be able to get it stick though? His run out of the corner isn't the best. Teddy Hines though, take your hat off, mate. Brilliant driving.
Yeah, that was a hell of a move up the inside there. Spotted the gap, committed to it, nice and little the brakes, left James in absolute no sort of limbo of what he was about to do there. He knew that he'd gone for the gap, he was there was nothing he could do about it. Fantastic move by Teddy there, and that's exactly the move that I'm trying to encourage the drivers in this championship to go for. You know, they're moves where it leaves drivers in no doubt of what's going to happen. You know, it's always them moments where two drivers are a bit indecisive of what each other's doing, normally ends up with a collision. If it's normally one driver committing to a line, committing to a gap, the other driver knows exactly what's happening. That's exactly what we saw there. Fantastic move, Teddy. But we are seeing Simon Thorpe actually hold his own here up against Teddy. Simon impressed me in race one. Let's see how he can hold his own. Is he going to try and hold his own around the outside? Got a little bit wary there. You saw of Teddy there. Just a little bit wary, but Teddy is driving his way through the pack here like a pro.
That was brilliant stuff from Teddy. He got the switchback manoeuvre and then carried the speed through into Luffield. Excellent driving on display there. Teddy Hines, what a drive from him. He has been one of the standout performers in this second race of the evening. We've just followed up with James McGill. He went to the inside to try and go for a move, but then as he came back onto the racing line, the weight transfer meant that it was so difficult to then get the car turned in again for Cops. You need to be a bit more sort of stable with the car. It's a platform that you can't throw it around too much, because otherwise it just won't respond to you whatsoever. Wide though, out of the corner from Simon Thorpe, as we come now back to the fight that's been raging on all evening long between Andy Dorman and Mick Sutton. Mick Sutton, look at how late he's prepared to go on the brakes. Mick is really trying to test the car to its limits. Again, it stopped in time though, so credit to him, and they're going to be getting involved in a three-way battle there with Alex Bennett very shortly. You can see the purple and yellow car just up the road. Simon Reed's been able to clear a gap as well, hasn't he? 1.8 seconds clear of second place, as Mick Sutton just sets the fastest lap of the race so far. As you know, Andy Dorman sets the fastest lap of the race so far. He's got 1:05 to his name, although Mick Sutton, he isn't that far back in terms of overall one-lap pace. They're all closing into each other. Mick Sutton, he looks for it. Is he going to pull it off? No, he gets a hit on the curb. A little bit of a ditch, isn't there, on the inside, and he's lost out on the position.
That was a major save there from Mick Sutton. That was nearly a big spin, and that would have been, you know, really damaging for his race result here. Not really enough time to sort of regain any of that back. I tell you what, Alex Bennett, for always saw him running right at the back in race 2. Obviously, he had that issue where he went to the pits. I'm still trying to find out what that was because of. Maybe it was a drive-through or fuel, as we said. But actually, really holding his own here in this race, only dropping 2.5 seconds to Simon Reed up ahead. So really impressive lap times. Andy Dorman here going wheel to wheel with Alex Bennett here into turn 1. This is going to get a bit close and dangerous, I think. You can see Andy Dorman right on the back end. This is where Bennett needs to get back across and try and cut Dorman off in the braking area to stop him going up the inside. Will he do it? Will he hear me over the commentary? And I believe he's actually managed to defend Andy Dorman. Andy Dorman going a little bit deep, but he will have the exit there, because I think that was Alex Bennett just kicking up a little bit of dust on that inside of the corner.
Andy Dorman, he's going to go for it now around the outside into Brooklands. And, well, Mick Sutton's been dropping back a little bit, not been showing the good pace that he's been. Maybe he's been a little bit rattled there as Alex Bennett forces Andy Dorman very up to the white line on the inside of the circuit. Andy Dorman cutting that corner nicely, getting close again to Alex Bennett. This battling, though, does allow Simon Reed to clear an even bigger gap. Mistake there from Alex Bennett. That leaves the door wide open now for Andy Dorman to take second place. nothing Alex can do once he got off of the road to defend back from Andy Dorman. So Dorman in second place, Bennett in third. Might be seeing a gap being built. Alex Bennett, he just misses his mark going into the corner there. It's difficult to see on board exactly where the turning point is, exactly where the apex is, when you've got a big MX-5 sort of blocking your view. Meanwhile, well, Simon Reed has set the fastest lap, or his fastest lap of the race so far, 1 minute 5.8, nearly identical to Andy Dorman, only 7/10 off. Getting the extra points, I believe you get for fastest lap. So Simon Reed up at the front of the field. It's not like he's taking his foot off the gas, is he?
No, definitely not. And as we see here, Teddy Hines dropping the place but back up behind Simon Thorpe. You know, these two drivers are actually really impressing me. Changing places a lot here. Not really any contact happening. Hopefully that's not cursing the commentator. But these are battles that really helps develop a driver. You know, it's not very often you can enter a championship and have such clean battles so close with lap times so similar, and this is really good for them for development, especially in sim race, to build the awareness of where cars can be, and you know, relying on that sort of second sense. It's very easy to look in the mirror and seeing a car dart to the right, but you've almost got to build that picture of where you think that car's going to be, and that's just experience, trying to get in scenarios where that's happening a lot, and that's exactly why this championship is a really good place to build that knowledge.
Absolutely, yeah. As Andy Dorman sets the fastest lap of the race so far, and Mick Sutton did get through on Alex Bennett that last lap, so Mick Sutton is starting to pick up the pace as well. You might see a tussle for second place in the latter stages of this race, but we are into the final 8 minutes. Looking on board here with Teddy Hines back to see Simon Thorpe closing in on the run into Brooklands and Luffield. With Andy Dorman, he does set a purple sector 1. Very quick lap times potentially being the set here from Andy. Now that he's got clear air and he's not involved in any fights, he can really open the taps out. If he can put some pressure on Simon Reed with his lap times, maybe force Simon into a mistake. Well, Teddy Hines, he's not looking likely to make a mistake, is he himself? Simon Thorpe trying to close in, just can't find the moves.
Yeah, I tell you what, this for me is making it a really hard job to try and put a person on the table for driver of the round. You know, it's Simon Reed has drove 2 exceptional races, running out front. You know, he's got to be on the table. But any other drivers, you know, I'm open to ideas here, Ed. But it's a hard choice. Really, the standard of all these drivers have been very, very good. You know, we're not just looking for a driver that is outright fastest, as is Simon. You know, lapping very, very quick. Andy Dorman's lapping quick. I'm looking for a driver who, you know, has seen real improvement, is developing as a driver.
Very tricky, yeah, because Andy Dorman, let's not forget, his first race wasn't plain sailing. Even though he took the race victory, he got pole position. But that little incident that he had early on in the race saw him down the order. He still fought through and took the race victory in the end. Great driver from him. And then, of course, Teddy Hines, he's been having a brilliant performance. His overtakes in this second race have been brilliant to watch. They've been some of the best overtakes I've seen from my time commentating on sim racing. He's got the awareness, and he just knew that he had the commitment to go for him and pull him off. So Teddy Hines, he's got to be up there. But like you said, I don't know, really, which driver is going to be coming out on top for driver of the round.
Yeah, I mean, anyone watching the stream here, feel free to comment on who you think deserves a place in the running for driver of the day, because that'll make our jobs a little bit easier, I think, Ed. But yeah, looking here, you know, Simon Thorpe, he's put a really good, strong race 2 together here. Not quite the pace he had in race 1, but you can see no marks in his car, racing within himself, very consistent. Teddy Hines, as you said, some great moves in this second race, but didn't have the best race 1. Simon Reed, you can't rule him out. The way he's managed to pick his way through the grid at the start of the races, that's that calculated aggression that is really hard to teach across. You know, it's one of them things that, you know, comes naturally to obviously Simon there, and it's really helped him in this race too, find his way through the grid. And even though he isn't setting the lap times of Andy Dorman or Mick Sutton, you know, he has absolutely done enough to bring home the win here.
Yeah, it's so difficult, isn't it, to really pick a best performance, because all of the performances this evening have been absolutely stellar for me, though, for my money, some of the stuff that Teddy Hines has been showing is exactly what this series has been sort of created to facilitate, isn't it? Drivers going for the moves and really learning that racecraft. That's the big thing. And for me, it's going to be Teddy Hines. But I'm sure that you've got your own opinions about Andy Dorman and Simon Reed, because they are both just excellent performers right at the top of the field.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, looking here, actually, Andy Dorman is really starting to make a bit of headway now towards Simon Reed, actually, putting in consistently good lap times here and really starting to close the gap. You can see 106.062. Simon Reed, to be fair, is responding with that, a 106.0 as well. So actually, Simon Reed doing very well to respond to that. But the previous lap, I think, was a gap of 4/10. So, you know, this isn't actually done and dusted yet. Still 4 minutes left of this race. We heard Mick Sutton say, you know, Andy Dorman, regarding his consistency and lap times, that's what's really helping him drive forward. You know, Mick Sutton we've seen do a better lap time than what Andy Dorman's done, but it's the consistency that's really helping Andy pull away and create that gap and close this gap onto the back of Simon Reed. So let's watch this as we go over the start-finish line after this last corner here. Let's watch these lap times between Simon Reed and Andy Dorman. Andy Dorman doing a previous lap of a 106 dead. Let's see if I'm going to eat my words and look for his consistency. I bet he's in and around that, a very, very good consistent driver.
Yeah, exactly. So up across the line now, Simon Reed, what is his lap time going to be? A 106.152. Andy Dorman closes the gap down, doesn't he? A 105.7. So
4/10 again.
4/10 of a second eaten out of the race lead by Simon Reed, and the gap, well, at the moment this race is 2 seconds. If he can eat that out over the next couple of laps, he'll be right there within the slipstream. A move could be on right at the end of this race, but it could be close. Could as well, though. Something we have to always imagine is gap management by Simon Reed. He has the lead of the race. He doesn't need to be pushing flat out, because if you do, you always leave yourself open to a mistake. He might be going at, say, 95%, leaving a little bit on the table, but making sure that he's able to get it across the line nice and safely instead. Put all of the pressure on this man, Andy Dorman. However, Simon Reed has responded to the pace shown by Andy Dorman with his fastest first sector of this race, a personal best by Simon Reed. So what is Simon going to have in response to Andy Dorman? Well, it's a 105.864. This time the gap is swinging in the favour of Simon Reed, being able to increase his margin by about 0.5 So Simon Reed definitely is not going to just be lying over there and taking it. He is showing excellent pace and excellent race management.
Yeah, you know what? This actually puts another set of cards on the table for me regarding Simon for driver of the day. You know, he's turned up. He's got the pressure from Andy Dorman. He knows he's fast from qualifying, and yet in the race, he's calculated it. You can see he knows when to push. Maybe he was sitting back on it a little bit, but watching his lap times, he's definitely going right. Andy Dorman's closing the gap here. I'm going to put my foot down. And that's a skill in itself, to make sure you're controlling your own pace and really having a bit of race management. So very, very fair play to Simon Reed here, and very impressive to see.
Yeah, it is brilliant stuff. Andy Dorman closing in as we start the final lap of this race. I think he's going to come across the line just in time for this to be the final lap. As I say that, I'm not exactly sure which way it's going to go. We're going to say that this is the white flag and then be pleasantly surprised if there's yet more running to go. So Simon Reed ahead of Andy Dorman again. Another 1 minute and 5 second lap time by Simon Reed. Very quick. We might be getting another lap out of this. I'm not too sure about this, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, 40 seconds left on the clock. It's definitely going to be close. But if I'm honest, even if there is another lap, I don't really see any change in the way the current standings are at the moment. I could be wrong in saying that. I hope I don't put any commentator's curse on it.
Just at the purple sector.
Oh, Andy Dorman is going very quick indeed, actually, but I still don't think, unfortunately, it's enough. But it might be enough for Andy to definitely secure that fastest lap, seeing as how Simon Reed is only 0.5 off that fastest lap of Andy Dorman. Maybe Andy's going right. If you're going to take the win, I'm definitely going to put my stamp on it and make sure I get fastest lap as well.
And we have, I think,
He has
one
indeed,
lap
look.
to go. He's got the fastest lap of the race. Andy Dorman, very quick lap time being set by him. Purple sector for second sector as well. So now, if Simon Reed does make a mistake, you might be thinking, oh, I should have slowed down. I should have come across the line a little bit later. But his lead is just down to 1.6 seconds. The slipstream could be there for Andy Dorman, but I don't think he's going to be close enough to make any moves. Simon Reed then. Race management has been there to a T. Excellent driving from our race leader Andy Dorman as well, putting a brilliant performance in the first race and an excellent performance here in the second race. It's very difficult to pick a driver of the evening, that's for certain, but could be seeing a bit of a fight here between James McGill and Simon Thorpe. I don't think there's going to be close enough to make any moves though at the end of this race. Drivers are trying to figure out who's going to be coming out on top. However, Simon Reed is going to come across the line now and take the second race of the evening in stunning fashion. Andy Dorman there in second place, and Mick Sutton once again comes home for a podium finish, this time in third place. Alex Bennett crossing the line in fourth following his pole position race start. And then Teddy Hines, what a drive from him. His racecraft has been brilliant, securing fifth place. And a slight drag race up to the line. Simon Thorpe and James McGill very close to one another. Simon Thorpe just ahead of James. Sam Milner coming home, rounding out the field there in eighth place. But with all of that, the action has finally come to a close. And I think we've basically come to the conclusion, Dave, of our driver of the day.
Yeah, I mean, who's driver of the day for you, Ed, here? Because I know who I want to vote for, and there's a few comments in the YouTube definitely for Simon for driver, and I would have to agree with that personally. I think Foley didn't bring everything he could have possibly had in qualifying. It's one of them drivers who's improved over the race weekend, and his aggression at the start of the race has definitely helped him get through. And when I say aggression, I don't mean he's bashed his way through. I just mean he's made authoritative overtakes and made sure he's getting the job done, and that's what's helped him get the results today here.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to agree with you. Simon has had a great performance. He didn't have as much practice time as the rest, but he's developed and adapted. You could just see the way his pace got quicker and quicker throughout the evening. So for me as well, I'll have to agree with our choice for driver of the round. But, well, Dave, we've got drivers coming in to have a word with you following that second race.
Yeah, we do indeed, and we'll jump to our P3 finisher. Mick, just not quite the look or quite the pace there in race 2 to finish the same as in race 1. I take it Andy and Sam were just a little bit too far away by the time you got through the pack to get on the back of them.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know what happened in that race. I didn't change anything at all, and yet I couldn't seem to get anywhere near the lap times I was doing in the first race. So I don't really know what happened. There was a bit of battling in there in the middle, which obviously slows you down. But once I got clear track, I just couldn't get the lap times. I couldn't put them in. Every now and again, I'd do a good one. But most of the time, I was 3 to 4 tenths a lap slower than Simon and Andy.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying that, even though this track is only 4 corners, it's one of them tracks where, that little amount of brake change or throttle change changes the lap time so drastically, because you don't have the rest of the lap to try and make that time back up. So to try and put a good lap time in and a perfect lap time is incredibly hard on a track that's actually only full of 4 corners.
Yeah, I know, but listen, I'll take another podium, 2 podiums in one night. That can't be a bad thing, and well done to Simon and Andy.
Yeah, it is indeed, and actually, regarding championship points, Mick, you're right up there on the championship board, still sitting in 3rd place, so fair play to you regarding the championship. It's still all to play for in this MX-5.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Let's see what next week brings, eh?
Great stuff. We'll move on to our P2 finisher, Andy Dorman. Great pace in race 1, and I tell you what, a blistering lap in race 2. Just not quite enough to close onto the back of Simon Reed and really battle him for the win there.
Yeah, no, it took a bit longer to get through the traffic than I hoped. It just left too big a gap to close down in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I take it, looking at your sort of competitors, I take it that's one of the things that you're looking at is, maybe needing a slight bit of improvement from. You've definitely got the lap time there. Being actually faster on track than Simon Reed, but yet Simon just managing to pick his way through the grid earlier on, slightly easier than what you've managed to get through.
Yeah, I just seem to have a wall of about 4 wide going up the back, and I thought I'll just sit back and wait for this to spread out a little bit.
And then by that time, Simon was gone. So, yeah, no, fantastic race too, Andy, and especially regarding thinking about the championship and bringing home consistent points. Or, you're right on your aid game there. And regarding your lap time, I'm looking forward to what you can do on a more technical track. As I said, this is only 4 corners. I think we'll probably see a bigger separation in lap time going into the more technical tracks, and I think that's really where we're going to see you excel on your lap time.
Yeah, we're hoping to gain on how well we've done tonight next week, hopefully.
Spot on. We're looking forward to Andy. Congratulations again tonight. And we'll move on to our P1 finisher, Simon Reed, and our vote for driver of the day. Actually, great drive today. Not quite enough in qualifying, but really progressing throughout the day, and some fantastic moves in race 2 there to really help you get through the grid, really effective and quickly.
That worked out really nicely for me at the start. I managed to get through the traffic relatively quickly, and then that helped me to build up that gap that I needed in front of Andy, because Andy does lap faster than me, so I needed that gap to get me through to the end of the race, and luckily for me, that's how it panned out.
Yeah, it's shaped up to be a really exciting championship. Only separated by 6 points between you and Andy Dorman, and only 4 points back to Mick Sutton. So, the top 3 only separated by 10 points at the moment. Obviously, we're first place with 20 points on offer. You can see it's going to be really quite a tight championship, I think. How do you think you're going to fare when it goes to a more technical track instead of, what's currently been a relatively short, simple track to try and get the lap time down on?
I'm not really sure. I hope I can still be up there battling for the win, but as we've seen, Andy has got good pace and has been consistently quicker than me at both Brands and Silverstone. So, I'm probably going to have to work hard to be up there still battling with him.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing how you get on there, Simon. Fantastic point haul today, and well done on getting driver of the day vote as well. I see you had a few followers as well on YouTube that got the comments in and as well. So thanks to them for supporting you as well.
Big thanks to the lads in YouTube comments. I imagine Arthur Bell is in there, so yeah.
He is indeed, yeah.
Well, Arthur, he's always supporting me, and yeah, it means a lot.
Spot on, Simon. Congratulations.
Very much, Dave.
So that was all of the drivers that came in to have a chat with us following race 2. Oh, what a race 2 it was. He's got some big ramifications, though, for the championship, and Simon Reed, provisionally after this evening, will find himself sitting at the top of the standings, 60 points to his name, pending any penalties, of course, with Andy Dorman there in 2nd place. Mick Sutton stays 3rd, but only 5 points separating 1st from 3rd. Still very close championship-wise. These top 3, expect to see them really up in the mix. Sam Milner, he's been having a good, consistent run of points there in 4th place, ahead of Luke Weston, who we haven't seen this evening. He's down in 5th place. Hopefully we'll see Luke later on, maybe next week when we go to Donington Park. But if you can't wait, and if you really want to see Donington Park in action, well, we do have the League of Champions starting tomorrow, don't we? And, well, the first round of that is, funnily enough, Donington Park.
It is indeed. Tomorrow night, starting the same time on stream, 7:30. It's going to be worth a watch, so make sure you tune in from 7:30 to see how the drivers get on Donington Park. The cars running 300 horsepower, they are fast. I know they'll look like, your everyday hot hatchback, but them cars are no easy feat. They are full sequential gearboxes, front wheel drive, and, a big grid of drivers all wanting to be as far forward as they can be. So it's going to be hectic, fun. Definitely tune in.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be one to look out for, of course. I don't know if we have any further announcements to go, though, Dave. And if not, well, then that's going to be it from myself and it from you as well, from all of us here at VRRC. And then we'll come to the next round, round 3 at Donington Park, where the championship runs through. And, well, that'll be a thrilling evening, one that I can't wait to. It's the Donington National, correct?
Yes, it is indeed. So the one with the difficult chicane, that's rather hard to nail. So that's going to be interesting to see how drivers manage through the chicane.
Best layout of Donington. I don't like the GP loop, and I don't know if you're the same, Dave. I much prefer.
I love it.
When you go through the chicane. No, the chicane's so much nicer. We can discuss that and everything else though in a week's time. So you've got that to look forward to as well. If you're watching, you've got to stay tuned though. We'll see you all hopefully tomorrow for the League of Champions Touring Car Racing tomorrow, and if not, we'll see you all in a week's time for the next round of the Academy Mazda MX-5 Cup. Thank you. Good night, and we'll see you all very soon. Take care.
Between the two of them, the inside of Coates, Parker gets too heavily involved. And that's Whitehead and Coates.